Hello, Grotto. How are you?
Hey there, Lewis! How are you doing this evening? I hope you're doing well. This is, of course, Star Trek Resurgence. This just released today for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and PC. Not out for the Switch, but out on everything else. It is on PC on the Epic Games Store. I know a lot of people have issues with the Epic Games Store, but yeah. So there is a lot of. I will say this, having played this thus far, it is a really long story. So this is not going to be done in one playthrough. So this game is roughly about 10 hours long, if not longer. A very, very good story. Honestly, I want to say it's probably one of the best Star Trek games I've ever played. It's very well done. And the only issues I have noticed is there's a lot of graphical glitches, a lot of sound glitches in the game. The company does know about it, and they are going to be releasing a patch to fix it. So any sound glitches you encounter during this playthrough, just keep in mind that the developers know about it and are going to fix it. Anyway, having said that, welcome guys to Star Trek Resurgence on the PlayStation 5.
Or action game?
It is actually a point-and-click style adventure game. It's made by the former developers from Telltale Games. So if you remember playing any Telltale games, maybe like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or Minecraft story mode, any of that kind of stuff, the gameplay is very similar to that. Your choices all matter. Your choices will affect the story. So there's a lot. It's third person. There is a lot of fighting elements as well. It's not just all going around picking up objects or anything like that. While that is a part of the story, it's a lot more involved than that. You can pilot shuttles. You can shoot at aliens with phasers, that kind of stuff. It's action packed. It definitely is action packed. Anyway, having said that, let's hop right into this game. We're going to start a new game here. As you can see here, we have the choices, which is very prominent in other Telltale games. Now, Telltale doesn't exist anymore. They have since changed their name to Dramatic Labs, and Dramatic Labs this is their very first game under that new name. Hop right into this. I'm gonna go into the empty slot. My save right here in Comrades in Arms, my save there is really far into the game. I'm at least 8 hours in that, if not more. Alright, so we'll do an empty slot here. And begin.
Captain's log, stardate 57931.4. The crew is restless. After spending too many months piecing our ship back together, we're finally about to venture out on a new mission. And the crew isn't letting this unprecedented ion storm slow them down. They're ready for something different. I know I am. Perhaps more than any of them. Fortunately, nothing ever stays the same. It's entropy, the nature of the universe. Change is inevitable. And while entropy says order gives way to chaos, in this case, change is good. Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying. But these little shuttles are the worst.
Here's a tip. Don't close your eyes. You'd think that would make it easier, but it only makes it worse. Look out the window, pick a star, and just focus on that.
I'll give it a try. Sorry, I'm a little anxious.
I hadn't noticed.
I'm on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
It won't be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th hour like this. But if she's half the officer I knew...
Is she kind of Klingon?
No, I forget the race she is, but no, she's not a Klingon. So this game takes place during the Next Generation universe, so there are, I don't want to say too much, but there are cameos by people from Star Trek The Next Generation, as well as older Star Trek. You'll see. I don't want to ruin anything. But yeah, no, I will say it has been a long time since we've had a proper Star Trek game, which is like adventure style and not just simply a run and gun or a space combat. And while this does have that in it, the heart of this game is a point-and-click adventure game. And we haven't really had a good one of those since, you know, Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Judgment Right, and A Final Unity.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way. I actually did well at the Academy.
Hi.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pintaris 5. Anyway, I finished in the top 20. Not just in my class. I mean, all time. In the history of the Academy. So...
How are you?
Really? That's quite impressive.
I'm alright, thanks for asking.
It was tough. But you know, I set my mind to it and it paid off.
Please place your hand here. Hold it there for a few seconds. Welcome, Commander Rydek.
Wait, you're Jara Rydek? You absolutely crushed the Torvalin.
Hey, I was about to stream the 25th Ward.
You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really... It's an honor to meet you, Commander. Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on solid ground.
The pleasure is mine.
Now, we can obviously be a dick to everybody,
Paul
but
Calloway.
I see no point.
Good to meet you.
I believe
Also,
Commander
Stu,
Irma is
I don't know what to
expecting
tell you, buddy.
It's in the concourse just ahead.
If you don't want to watch this, you can go to your channel.
See you on
but
the Resolute.
I figured you'd enjoy this game because it is actually really good. As I was saying to Lewis, there is game glitches. The developers know about it, and they're going to be releasing a patch over the next few days. But I figured, why delay this game? The glitches aren't too bad. They're just slight animation glitches, and the odd time there's dialogue issues, where like text will appear at the bottom of the screen, but the voice actor is not heard, or something like that. Which again, they are already aware about. I checked their Twitter, and they already know about it. They're going to be fixing it.
Commander Irma-, wasn't he the barber?
No, Mott was the barber. Mott was the barber on the Next Generation.
I remember
Commander Ermot is made up,
Commander Ermot,
but he is a Bolian. Yes.
So I'm looking for someone with blue skin.
Now, just to fill you in here, Stu, since you missed a little bit of the intro here, this is before we are.
I was serious.
Yes, I did. Okay. Anyway, so
it's funny that he's a Bolian.
Okay, so Stu, shush for a minute while I tell you what's going on. Okay, so we have just arrived on this star base, and we have not boarded the U.S.S. Resolute, which is our commanding ship that this character commands on. This is Jara Rydek, who is the commander on the U.S.S. Resolute. So this is before we board the Resolute, so we're right at the beginning of the game. We just took a shuttle to this star base, and we are going to be boarding the Resolute soon and serving on board as their commander.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just... Well, I'm not sure where my departure dock is.
Is Clem in this game?
Look here. The Resolute is leaving from this dock.
Ah, you're right. Nerves must be getting to me. Thanks so much, Commander.
No, but jokes aside, because I know you're going to make a lot of Telltale jokes, even though this is not a Telltale game. This is made by Dramatic Labs, who is formed by a bunch of former Telltale Games employees. This is their very first game, and honestly, probably, I'm going to go out on a limb here, because I've already played a lot of this.
Is this the new Star Trek game?
For once, always asleep, you can actually say that and be accurate. Yes, it is. This is Star Trek Resurgence. This just came out today.
It was the beating of his hideous game.
So we're just at a star base.
Has 4 docks. Excuse me. Have you seen a Bolian around here?
Yes, sir. Right back there, near the replicator.
That was a Poe joke.
There he is. Thank you.
Happy to help, Commander.
I'll replicate myself a meal once I'm on board. Excuse me.
You hear the Resolute's getting...
Talk to the Orion instead.
No, get this. From a different ship.
And pretend you think she's a Bolian.
Welcome to the edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermot, Operations Officer on the Resolute. Commander? I hope there wasn't too much trouble getting here. This storm isn't making anything easy for us right now.
It was perfectly fine. No trouble at all.
I'm glad to hear it.
They just spelled Resolute wrong in the subtitles. No joke.
Stu, as I stated before, there is game glitches. This game needs a day 1 patch for sure. As I stated, there is graphic glitches. There is some glitches in the game. Sound issues, stuff like that.
What race is your character?
I don't know her race, actually. I just know that she
is she a deformed human?
No. She needs, what's it called? A special kind of injection in order to survive. So throughout the game, you have to get her injected in sickbay. Just like Telltale Games, we have our relationship meter. And as we go on, this is a lot more subtle than what Telltale used to do. So we don't actually have to ever look at this at any point. This is all up to us.
A heroin addict.
So, as an example, Ensign Calloway, the guy we just helped, says at the bottom here, Ensign Calloway was grateful for Jara's helpful guidance when he was nervous on the shuttle flight. So, throughout the game, as we meet the characters, it'll show whether they like us or whether they dislike us. and will affect the story as it does with other Telltale games. So right now we are playing as Jara, but we will be also playing as Carter Diaz, who is an engineer on board the Resolute. So we haven't met him yet, but I find that his missions are more fun. I'll be honest with you. His missions involve like really ripping apart ships and getting to the heart of the ships and everything. It's really cool. Which is the first time I've ever seen that in a Star Trek game, honestly, where you actually get to play as an engineer and get to mess around with all of their equipment and stuff. It's actually really neat.
From everything I've read and everything I've heard, we're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
You can spare me the flattery, Mr. Ermont. I'm here to work.
Duly noted. I'll stick to the matter at hand. The U.S.S. Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her own. And she doesn't look so bad, considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half, venting plasma, fighting for her life.
It was an accident?
Equipment malfunction. An accident suggests fault, but no one's to blame. It was a planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. We thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but it was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for each other.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for you. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. It does weigh heavy. There are some things you can't forget.
Did you lose anyone close to you?
Too many. And to that I'll just say, you have big shoes to fill. Listen, I realize you've known Captain Solano for quite some time, and I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake, that he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly first. Until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Trust is earned, and it sounds like I have my work cut out for me. But I plan on winning them over.
I don't doubt that. I just figured it was better to know what you're walking into.
Of course.
Starfleet has assigned us a high-priority mission to the Hotari region. I'll let the captain brief you on board. I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Yeah, so as I was saying earlier to Lewis, the game is very long. So now we're playing as Carter. The game is actually very long. I want to say about 10 hours, if not longer. Expect multiple playthroughs of this. I'm not going to be able to do this in one sitting.
I got just the thing.
"10 hours isn't that long. I'm like 20 hours into the 25th ward."
Yeah, well, that is also a boring as hell Suda-51 game, so those are known to be thousands of hours in length, with not much to show for it.
is that.
So again, for those of you just joining, this takes place in the Star Trek The Next Generation universe. A lot of the Star Trek The Next Generation cast members are, well, no, I don't want to say a lot. A few of them make cameos in the game.
Nice work, Carter. Lower Decks. I hope Boimler is in this.
Oh, hush.
Not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering. Like, now.
Everything okay?
I dropped a non-ferrous connector between the coils. Gonna have to remove a few of them to find it, and then...
Whew, then another hour of recalibrating. Ouch. I'll leave you to it.
Hey, Diaz, can you give us some help with the transporter?
Come on!
What's the problem?
We need to test this cargo transporter. I've never been that great with the signal plotting.
I got it.
If not Boimler, at least that guy Lavelle who appeared in the TNG episode, Lower Decks, who got promoted to the ops position and then was Ned.
Stu, you're taking this to... This is an entirely new story. There's new characters. There's nobody from Lower Decks is in this. That's just the name of the episode. Do you remember when you played Telltale Games in the past, or did you? I don't know if you ever played them, but back in the day, Telltale Games, they would release an episode a month, and each episode had a different title. This is the title of this episode. So instead of getting an episode a month for this, it's the complete package all in one go. Anyway, there are characters from Star Trek, the TV series, and some of the movies that make cameos in this game. No, Boimler from
I played them.
Bridge
I
Crew.
remember playing the Batman game and Batman was in it, and like Catwoman, and stuff.
That was the most special response I've ever heard from you. I remember playing a Batman game and Batman was in it. Oh, okay. Anyway. So what we have to do right now is get a lock via a transporter buffer. I've never seen this done in a Star Trek game before, where we get to actually mess around with transporters and everything. So this is really cool. So we have to...
Carter Diaz!
We have to make sure that this doesn't touch any of the interference, so we can get a proper lock via transporter.
No sweat. Whoa, hey, buddy, get off the pad! Don't tell Chovak.
Not a word.
Time's a wasted.
Okay, so Chovak is head of engineering. That guy was an idiot. Why would you, we're teleporting stuff and he just decides to go on the pad, or transporting stuff and he just decides to go on the pad. It's kind of stupid. That guy's a moron. Alright, anyway, she's gonna keep on yapping, but we can do shit here, so we're just gonna explore around before we follow Yappy McYappy Face over there. I believe this person needs help.
Hey Diaz, have you seen a hyperspec? I last saw it near the shuttle, Ptarmigan.
And
I'll let you know.
There you go. There's what I was talking about. So there is audio issues with this game, and as I said, the developers know about it. So be prepared that you're going to get cut off in dialogue throughout this game, at least until it's patched. So they're expecting to release a patch by the end of this week to fix the audio issues. Aside from that, I haven't really noticed too many bad glitches.
I need to lose weight, but don't worry, I know about it.
Nothing I couldn't handle, though.
What?
That's not where that goes.
What are you talking about, Stu?
Maybe we can figure out where you're supposed to be.
Alright, so we take this back to,
Oh, hey, there it is. You're a lifesaver, Diaz.
Well, I don't know about that. but I try.
So, interesting to note that Carter Diaz is played by Josh Keaton, who is a big-name voice actor. I've known about him for many, many, many years. This is the first time he's actually voiced in quite a while. I thought he was retired for the longest time.
I'm saying the fact that they know about it is nice, but they shouldn't have released a game in this state to make a date. It's common practice.
It happens. It happens more than once. Even AAA developers have glitches in their games. The game is fine. There's nothing wrong with the game aside from audio issues. You also have to realize that the developers who made this game are very small. There's 5 people who worked on this game. That's it.
A place for everything, and everything in its place.
The developers are very small. Like dwarves. Sorry, I'll stop now.
Yeah, how about you stop and pay attention to the game? You might actually enjoy it if you don't talk over top of everything. Just stating. You might actually enjoy what you're watching. Wait, what? Where did she go?
So clean I can see myself. And you know what? Not half bad.
I am enjoying this. It looks cool.
What the hell?
I just like heckling also.
That is not supposed. This didn't happen last time. That's a new glitch. That door is supposed to open. That's weird. Okay, so I don't know why that's doing that.
Hey, don't let LT catch you blocking the corridors like this.
We'll clear it up once we finish the deli.
I think your character is a ghost.
Not after the retrofit. Bulkhead cuts it off at Section 2. New computer reroutes.
So then...
I'm thinking we'll have to do the work in that tube. Then take the turbo lift from Section 2 to Section 3.
Well, wait, there's a subfloor crossover around Junction 32E.
What do you have against using the turbo lift?
Nothing, I just like being in the tubes. It's my domain.
Hey, need any help? Okay, good luck.
Or maybe like in the TNG episode where Ro and Geordi got cloaked and Data had to hit them with chronoton particles - the next phase, it WAP.
Okay, Stu, stop, please. It's starting to get annoying. Just pay attention to the game. You're gonna like the story, I promise. Especially if you like the Next Generation, because it ties in. It's actually canon.
Engineering.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovak called us down for, it's something good. I can never tell with him. I'd rather not end up degout.
At Stu's game reviews high. Good to see you here.
We can tackle anything he throws at us.
Your optimism is positively contagious.
So Chovak is the head of engineering. He's a bit of a tight ass.
Looks like we got here before.
He's a Vulcan, so, you know.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Ed Solar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now. Which
Slightly smiling face.
At the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Edsolar on repeated occasions.
Well, Commander Chovak, isn't it true that if we were almost late, it categorically means that we were not late?
That is correct, Mr. Diaz.
I mean, if anything, Edsolar and I are following the schedule to the letter.
Yes. Perhaps I should adjust the schedule accordingly.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the hull. I need you to tune the structural integrity field for optimal performance. The subspace distortions and ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. The precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood.
Whatever it throws at us, we'll be ready. We've got the best chief engineer in the fleet.
I am a Vulcan, Mr. Diaz. Flattery is not necessary. All that I require is that you do your job. Right now, that entails critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system. You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes, Commander Chovak. All hands on deck.
What's that?
All hands on deck. That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out, but the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule.
It all comes down to us, Nilly. We're the ones who will get it ready.
I know what we can do. But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa.
Excuse me.
A lot of new faces coming on board. It's gotta be tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, that's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt. Hold on. Now there's an old face I didn't expect to see again. Hey, Miranda!
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd slum it on this bucket of bolts. Looks like you got her back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
I'm gonna take the high road here, pretend you didn't say that, and welcome you aboard.
He's a better diplomat than I am.
He still owes me a bottle of Saurian brandy. Don't think I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
No, that's okay, sir. You can hold my helmet for me. Alright.
Here, let me help you.
Thanks.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual suspects.
Whoa.
I just want to say King's Quest 6 had better lip syncing than this in 1992.
Okay, but again, you're naming a AAA company. Sierra was AAA at the time, right?
And they flirting.
And
activating.
I'm not going to say anything, Lewis. You'll see. You'll see what happens. But you do this a lot, Stu. You will like see indie games and then bitch about this or that and the other thing. But realistically, you can't expect the same high level of quality that you can with a AAA company. You can't. That's unfair to judge a game based on that. And besides that, I don't give a shit about the lip syncing. I play games for the story, not for the graphics. Which makes me wonder why you're playing the 25th Ward, because that game doesn't have good graphics or good story.
Let's go.
Like, really, you're playing a game that is utter trash.
How did an indie game get the Star Trek license? That's why I expect more from it. I figure they must have spent a shitload on this. Add Stu's game reviews, money and gambling.
I absolutely love this transition. That was really nice. Where it just goes out and around the ship, and then you go back in and you're playing as the commander again.
You'll have to forgive me.
That was a quick episode.
But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized, or bad things start to happen. And we have plenty.
The episodes
is the Captain Kirk? Is that why the episode is called All Hands?
No. Okay. You have to understand the episodes are not like TV episodes. It's one big story. It's not like it's separate stories or anything like that. An episode is a chapter. That's it. That's all it is. And you switch back and forth between characters as you continue through the game. It's one big story.
Duridium in sickbay, so there's no risk of running out.
Thank you.
Feel free to make yourself at home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
I can't believe he keeps this around. Don't even know where mine is. The first mineral Captain Solano ever discovered. Always was the nostalgic type. Can't wait to plot a course myself. We'll be out there soon. Going where no one has gone before. He's still got a thing for trains. The warp engines of their day, apparently. Just a sip of something. Rack the Gino. That sure has a kick.
Jara Rydek. Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the academy. You'd already secured one of the most prestigious assignments possible. And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrit Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. The only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare.
Oh yes, Captain Mustache.
Totally unnecessary. I don't need any pomp and circumstance.
It's funny you say that because when this game first was introduced and the trailers were coming out and everything, everybody in the comment section was...
Jamison extended his stash a bit.
Everybody in the comment section were saying, "Oh, Stan Lee finally finally got command of a starship."
Good news, true believers. I'm on a starship in the Federation.
All right, anyway, let's
been here all of 5 minutes and already you're trying to make us more efficient. I like it. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
I assume you mean the accident.
That's right. The tragic accident, really. We were on the verge of a major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there, within our grasp. till it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship can handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people. As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
We all know the risks when we sign up. There are no guarantees, as much as we tell ourselves otherwise.
True. But as captain, my job is to mitigate and manage the risks as much as possible. And that's where I failed. In my defense, I will say, we might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO, and I think that cost me his confidence. I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account. But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission. Anything short of that just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
Whether I agree or disagree, I can promise that I'll be honest to a fault.
Good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But at the end of the day, it has to be my call. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake. Or at least, I can't. I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here. We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority. Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space. Two previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
So it's a peacekeeping mission?
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified. This ionic storm. Our long-range sensors suggest it's several orders of magnitude stronger than anything on record. A total anomaly like nothing we've seen before. And you'll never guess where it leads.
Hotari.
Exactly. Very nearly in the precise location where we're headed. Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the details at the rendezvous.
Who is the senior diplomat we're escorting?
That I don't know. Starfleet hasn't said. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I expect we'll have some rough sledding when we arrive, so I need you to prepare the crew for the worst. There's just one more thing I want to clarify up front. The metric that for me will be the ultimate measure of your success.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
It's been a dream of mine since before I can remember. So I would be honored to become a captain someday.
As long as you're willing to do the work, you have my promise. I'll do everything in my power to see that it happens.
Thank you.
Come, let me introduce you to the crew. Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer. Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
One of?
Well, what he lacks in humility, he more than makes up for in ability.
A pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our Chief Science Officer. I've come to rely on his expert counsel on a regular basis.
Pleasure.
Commander Rydek, it is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time, and I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
If anything, the honor is mine.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad, because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves, and you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything.
I'm actually also part Kobliad, on my father's side.
You really do know a thing or two about me. I'm glad I could inspire you, but it's important to chart your own path.
Thanks. You can count on it.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont. Please, do everything you can to make Commander Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase. I have an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get our authorization to get underway. If they drag their feet any longer... The bridge is yours.
See, so basically what is going on here is there's... And I want to...
A lot of full commanders on this bridge. I counted 4.
Okay, so they're not... It's... No, I'm the actual commander. He means lieutenant commander. I don't know why he's saying commander. So this is the lieutenant commander for the science department.
I'm serious.
I know. I noticed that when I first played too. They're all commanders.
Stu's game reviews. You are not. Is this the RSS Enterprise?
No. It's the RMS Titanic. at least with me in command it will be. No, this is the U.S.S. Resolute. It's a made-up ship that ties in with Star Trek First Contact. If you remember the movie Star Trek First Contact, this takes place in the same universe as that movie. And at the same time as the events of that movie. Right.
Look at their pips. They have 3, not 2.5.
Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button.
The helm. The Resolute is a refitted Centaur class, meaning it's capable of quick maneuvers. Can't wait to see what she can do.
Welcome back to Talkin' Pips with Stu.
Impressive range of view. Science station. The Resolute is a science vessel, primarily. Might explain Commander Westbrook's attitude. I'll have to speak with him later.
Move your chin, dude.
So many decks. Full of crew that are now my responsibility. Communications. Keeps us in contact internally and with other vessels. Turbolift could take me anywhere on the... but I'm right where I need to be.
How many bathrooms on this thing?
So yeah, like I said, there is audio issues with the speech.
One.
There is audio issues with the speech. So on the Enterprise D, Stu, by the way, you need to stream more Stage 9 now that you have a laptop that isn't a piece of trash. Because honestly, that game is a lot of fun, and I think you'd enjoy it. But yeah, if we go by Stage 9, on the Enterprise D, there is at least 5,000 washrooms, I think, somewhere around there. Several on each deck. And then the washroom for the Enterprise D was
I
literally on the
stream it
bridge.
with you, because I don't know what to do when I play it.
Well, that's fine. You can stream
I'd
it with
always
me.
asleep flush twice.
Staffing, supplies.
I'd always asleep. A washroom is a bathroom in Canada.
Good thing we have Commander Ermont. Tactical hollow dais. Just like they've got on the Excelsior.
But you knew the day.
Tactical station. Hopefully a diplomatic mission won't require we use our weapons much. But if it comes to that, we'll be ready.
Alright, I think we've kind of looked around at all the cool shit we can do on this ship. Let's, Wait, what?
The first officer seat. My seat. Right now, though, I need to fill in for Captain Solano.
Yes. I probably shouldn't have put this stupid thing up. I don't know why I brought it up. We don't need this right now. Oh well.
Commander, Chief Engineer Chovak needs to lower the structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm. We just need your go-ahead.
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field, now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
And now we're switching back to,
The storm is getting worse.
to our engineers.
Looks like they turned off the SIF.
Great. Let's get to that.
So like I
later.
said, this is one big story. Just because it introduces each episode, each chapter like an episode, don't take it as an episode. It's not an episode. It's the name of the chapter. Because like I said, this is one big story. Think of this like a Star Trek movie. It's one big movie. Fully
She's
interactive
still got some
movie.
scars on her. It adds character.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this isn't exactly how I pictured it.
On the outside of the ship?
No. Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machinery. Don't you want more than that? I mean, Starfleet is noble and all.
Yeah, of course I do. Starfleet's an open door. We just have to walk through it. You wanted to get away. I enlisted because I didn't want to wait years just to get out and see the galaxy. I wanted to go somewhere. See new worlds. Look up at a sky no one's ever seen before. Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be. Diaz to Commander Chovak. We are at the SIF emitter.
Acknowledged. You may proceed with the recalibration.
Beginning recalibration.
After this, can you fix the one in my basement?
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive. Yes, I'm the Chief Science Officer, and I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge. At least I know this ship inside and out. Better than just about anyone.
What a very impressive list of credentials.
This is a research and discovery ship, first and foremost.
See, 3 pips. And by the way, Chief Science Officer is not a rank, douchebag.
A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your vulnerable condition and all. But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then? You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
That's very kind of you to be concerned about my well-being. But you don't need to trouble yourself on my account. I'll be fine.
Well, I wouldn't say I was concerned, just curious, that's all. Listen. Can I be blunt, Commander?
I see no reason to stop now.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor, was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet. His record was impeccable and his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost impossible to fill. He was loved by the crew. And he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll live up to expectations.
Hey, we just met. You might like me after you get to know me.
They say familiarity breeds contempt, but who knows? Seeing as Captain Solano is on the starbase, let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying into. It's unusual, unlike anything I've ever seen. At the moment, I can't tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk. However, if we learn more about its patterns, its nature, we can come up with a scientific countermeasure. Just a moment.
We've got a massive energy wave inbound.
On screen.
Tracing its trajectory.
Starbase docking clamps are holding.
The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wideband burst of ionic energy. Like a tsunami.
I'm reading power.
Shields. Shields.
Evacuating main gangway and retracting.
Putting sensor visualization on screen.
With the structural integrity field shut down, we can't take a direct...
Face orange biting nails.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited
LOL, why was that guy waving in the back?
What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with the...
I don't know. He's calling somebody over, probably.
Wait, there's a...
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
Bedrosian, get those shields up.
Rerouting power to shields. Stand by. I need a heading. We've only got one shot.
Understood. On my command.
Heading locked.
Raise shields.
This is it!
All hands, brace for impact.
I guess the captain is taking a dump right now.
Well, Stu, if you were paying attention to the story and not just talking over top of everything, you would realize that the captain's not on board the ship. He left, remember? He went to the starbase. He's not on board the ship. But you were talking over top of all the dialogue, so you don't know this.
Busted. Oh, I remember he left, but I didn't realize he left the ship. Sorry.
Experienced a surge of radiation.
Oh, you don't say.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
Blow out every primary system on the ship.
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
We've reached the first access point.
Understood. Do you see the override?
Hey, it's Spock. Wowie, what a thrill.
It's actually not, but Spock is in this game. That is Commander Chovak, and he's actually from another Star Trek game called Star Trek. It was an older Star Trek game from the early 2000s. Star Trek Hidden Evil.
Affirmative.
Engage the
Star Trek Q Conquest Online.
to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
Oh, sorry, Hidden Evil.
Failsafe override engaged.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
Diaz to Resolute. The failsafes are temporary.
Don't lie to me. Look at those ears. That is Spock.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
It's coming right toward us. I'm gonna try to disrupt it with my phaser.
So we gotta climb up the pylon. Not that there's really an up, but, you know.
We're at the regulator. Opening the access panel.
I am now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
So while the game is kind of boring here at this part, because we're just kind of doing maintenance on the ship, it does involve war between two races, and it does become an action-packed game. At this point in the game, it's kind of slow-paced because the story is still building up.
EPS manifold adjusters reset to neutral.
Have you played through this off-stream already, GG?
Yeah, I'm about 9 hours into the story, off stream. I haven't finished the game yet, but I can tell you that it gets really damn good. Like, the story is fantastic. You could definitely tell that the creators
need to release the deflector dish before the Borg make it into a subspace beacon.
You can definitely tell that the creators of this game know Trek and they know what they're talking about. Like, the writing is excellent.
EPS lines to the port warp engine are back in balance. Almost done. Once I cycle the manifold nozzles, Chovak can...
LOL, that was a really funny look on his face that it froze on.
Get down! Diaz to bridge. We just lost the docking clamp. We've got a lot of debris coming down. All vibrations, too. We can't finish the EPS regulation in these conditions. Please advise.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps
RIP Enterprise. If you didn't make the QTE, would they have died?
Yes. Yes. As you recall from other Telltale games, QTEs were very important to not fuck up. Because yes, you could die. And yes, you can die in this game.
What are our options?
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
Would the game have continued?
That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
You would have gotten the game over.
Starbase is hailing us.
Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
We have crew outside and are looking for the safest way to...
We have people on this station. If that mooring arm breaks, we could lose dozens of crew.
Commander, hear me. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking clamps.
And repel the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? This isn't your call to make. Blow the...
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Jara?
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
What is the holdup?
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
Up yours, mustache.
This is Acting Captain Jara Rydek. Repair crew. This is Acting Captain Jara Rydek. Be advised, we are... Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Yeah, see, there's audio issues. And as I said, the creators know about it, and they are going to be working on fixing it.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark! Ah!
Grab my hand! I got you.
Thank you.
response is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it. Hurt and unconscious. I'm gonna have to tow her back to the airlock.
Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed. Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed.
Yeah, see, I don't know what happened. It's something to do with
joined trill or an unjoined trill.
She's joined.
You must bring Miss Edsolar there to access the interior.
So always asleep. You mentioned Spock. Spock is actually going to be in this game very shortly, and the sound alike for Spock is really, really good.
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time. No time to fight me on this. Get in there.
Not on your life.
Let's not let it come down to that. We made it.
Instead of R2 you should have hit 3P0.
Do it.
Nilly.
I'm good. Help me with him.
Let's get this off.
Duty isn't that expensive. I find it on the street all the time.
One wounded at my location. Carter. You don't look so good. You gotta be more careful. I just got here. I'm not ready to see you two get blown to space dust just yet. Now let's get you down to sickbay.
Great.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me. You disobeyed my orders. Well?
I'm sorry for that, Captain. I did what I thought was...
You disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
I understand, sir. It won't happen again.
I should hope not. You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he...
Oh, calm down, Dennis Farina.
I guess we all are.
Stanley's pissed!
If I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil
Dennis
it down.
Farina, LOL, that's good.
Thank you for understanding, sir. I'm sure no one knows the burden of command as well as you do.
I'm sure you will, someday. Despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and then we'll set out for Hotari.
Yes, sir. All departments reporting full mission readiness. All departments reporting full mission readiness.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar. Set a course for the Voltari system. Prepare to go to warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me?
So it's funny that you get to choose what to say for engage. I'm gonna do engage.
Engage.
Simple, but effective.
Easy.
Thank you. I'm fine.
In the new Star Treks, every captain says something different.
You don't look so good.
Like Pike says punch it or something.
And here we go. This is what I was talking about earlier. She has to delirium, I think it's called. I can't remember the.
I have to get to sickbay.
Some kind of medication she has to take. Otherwise, it damages her cell structure. It's something like that. But yeah, no, I know that's yeah. Every captain says something different, and that's why I thought that was really cool that they make it so that you can make your own way of saying it. You have 3 choices.
What the hell?
Well.
So fun fact here, Deborah Wilson is voicing the Doctor in this scene. She is in a lot of games. She has been doing a lot of games. She's in Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, all the Wolfenstein games, the Telltale Batman games. She's in a lot of stuff.
That was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on him, but he'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your duridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're
rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the duridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
It does make me unique, but it's not a burden at all. I'm honored to be Kobliad, to represent my people.
As you should be. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment.
She should try Petrachel White.
Science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. The breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on.
I hear you. But that's my job, isn't it? To make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which is exactly why I'm so glad you're here. We need you now more than ever. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the grid. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship, and everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure is almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
And my work here is done.
Lieutenant Bedrosian.
I came to see if you were okay. We were all pretty worried on the bridge. No one knew what was happening.
I'm feeling much better. Thank you. It's just part of who I am.
You don't have to explain to me. I understand. I'm just glad you're okay. You trusted me earlier with the shields, and I appreciated that. I want you to know that I have your back.
Thank you.
Now, Carter, the emissions that gave you that burn are quite unusual, like everything else that goes with this storm. That's a combination of hyronolin and lectrazine to counter the radiation effects. That should help speed your healing. She's come by a couple of times to see you already. Be brief.
It's good to see you awake again. I was starting to get worried. Not that you aren't in good hands with Dr. Duvall. You did take one hell of a shot, though.
Ah, come on. You know you can't get rid of me that easy.
Don't push me, Diaz. You do not want to see me try.
No, nope. I am not getting on your bad side.
I am a formidable enemy. Millie was looking in on you too, by the way. But since it's just us right now, I had a chance to think about this while I was away. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse.
Now, this is just a guess, but you like me. Is that what this is?
How'd you know? Must have been pretty obvious. Which is funny, because kinda came out of nowhere for me, at first.
Well, I'm just a really good guesser. Any of my teachers growing up would have told you that.
So, you figured it out. Then I'll just cut to the chase. We've been really good friends for a long time. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
Are you sure about this?
They're my feelings. Of course I'm sure.
Well, I just mean seeing me in here after we almost got killed out on the hull.
I felt this way before that, Carter. I like you. And I think there could be something more for us. So, what do you say?
I like you too, Miranda. And I'd like to see where this goes.
I knew it. They were flirting.
Yep.
Say that.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt.
There's going to be a lot of cool shit coming up as we go on to this, through this.
Time to bang.
Yep. Leisure Suit Star Trek.
Again soon.
At Always Asleep, nope, this a TV Air Prime.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Always Asleep. You're gonna meet the guy you've been waiting to meet throughout the entire game.
Shield integrity holding. We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types. I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
At Always Asleep, are you interested in Commander Rydek?
Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't get it.
No, it's the person in the shuttle who he probably wants to meet.
Transporter lock.
See.
It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, I think I'm going to bail. Have fun at the Gamers Grotto.
You're gonna miss the best parts, dude. Just stick around. God.
First thing,
stick around.
Lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation.
For how long?
Just keep watching. There's some good stuff happening that's gonna be happening soon. I mean, it's slow picking up, but trust me, it gets really good. Honestly, I like this Star Trek out of all the...
Stay a while and listen. I just ate this vegetarian Chinese beef thing and I need to take a detour to the, what did you call it? Oh yeah, the washroom.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Here's the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17.
At Stu's Game Reviews we use the replicator for that. Oh yes, vegetarian beef.
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge.
I would blast that thing. Could be aliens in it.
No, it's your buddy in it.
Good job.
Your buddy.
Down to meet them.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock? The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you.
That's the old Spock.
Carter Diaz, sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz. It appears I have you to thank for my safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon, if I may say so.
You're very welcome, sir. I'm glad we could get you here in one piece.
Pretty neat.
We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Jachary space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? All indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
I'd rather investigate than speculate.
A sound principle.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
So Spock is not the only character that guest stars in this, and is a main character. So Spock is a main character in this from here on, but there are other guest stars from various Star Trek shows on this as well.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
We're all curious about the future, Ambassador. Specifically, what exactly are we getting involved in here?
We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Lydia and Hotari. The Lydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Illydians have shared a mining operation there. The Illydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Illydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
How is it the Hotari were able to turn the tables and take the mines against superior forces, especially after decades in this arrangement?
Unclear. The answer to that question may be the key to a new, lasting peace, and one that I hope we can uncover during these negotiations. But it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Illydian fleet if this escalates to open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly, the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
The Hotari just won their independence. It's hard to believe they would give that up just for profit.
I agree. It would be exceedingly difficult to bring the Hotari to that position.
Neither the Illydians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illydians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
That means the Hotari have no reason to trust us.
I wouldn't go that far, Commander.
We are completely neutral in this matter, on neither one side nor the other. Any suggestion otherwise would compromise our position. Given the Federation's involvement in the Iridium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Ilidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
If it's keeping the two sides talking instead of shooting at each other, that actually helps us negotiate a peace.
And we'll take advantage of that as long as it works in our favor.
And when it doesn't?
All the more reason to learn as much about it as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught unprepared, should the energy anomaly continue to fluctuate. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Who did the voice acting for old Spock?
It is a YouTuber, a young guy in his, I think he's in his mid-30s. It's a YouTuber named Piotr Michael. He's, I believe, Russian originally. He does thousands of different voices. And if you go over to his channel, you can find all of his different impressions. So he did the voice of Spock in this. He also can do Captain Picard's voice. He does thousands of voices. He's actually really impressive.
Aware. There are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, Commander Rydek could ingratiate
the audio is screwing up again.
Parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case. It would be unconventional, but I'm not opposed to it.
I'm honored to be included in the negotiation process.
You're not just included, you are instrumental.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with. I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
The ambassador asked me to take a look, and I'm ready to crack this thing open.
Good. You could learn from Mr. Diaz's focus.
I'll take notes.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
It seems like he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Even Chovak has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic. So, I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm happy for you. Both of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms. That just isn't gonna work for me.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing done yet?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
Yeah, so the shuttle's warp drive failing is not caused by the shuttle. Something shot at the shuttle, obviously. Likely an enemy.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
So now this part's kind of cool. When we use our tricorder, it goes into a first-person mode. So at any point now, from here on out with the game, we can use our tricorder, and we get this really cool view, which I really like. I like this. I've never seen this done before in a Star Trek game where you get to be kind of up close to your tricorder. All right, so I want to scan this first. In their standby state, warp coils produce a residual electromagnetic field. No deviations detected. The leading coils show evidence of routine maintenance to repair microabrasion from neutrino interactions. Another third layer. I don't think I'm seeing anything. No. So let's switch back to the second. Oh, here we go. The center coils guide the warp field through its focal event, maintaining a collimated thrust vector. No fractures detected. All right. Do a full-on scan.
I checked every coil on the port nacelle for imbalances. If any coil in either engine were cracked, I would have detected it. So, it must be the navigation array.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge.
I'm leaving now.
I don't want to.
What, did she think we're just gonna make out right in the front of the freaking shuttle bay?
To see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
You're the one with the important job to do, keeping the captain safe, and Ambassador Spock.
It doesn't always feel that way. Baking in the hot sun, standing guard next to an empty shuttlecraft. But it has its moments.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie.
Oh, I was about to ask if you get to go planet side in this game or if it is all on ship.
Oh god, no. You do beam down on planets and all. No. It's very much on planets and no. It's there is a lot of exploring and stuff for sure. There is a lot of puzzles later on, and yeah, no, it's not on board the ship. Actually, most of the game, from what I have played thus far, is on planets.
Important things on my mind.
Do me a favor. Come back safe.
Deal. Nice.
Be seeing you.
Jara Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
Lieutenant Dumbskit will remember that.
Shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now.
Huh.
Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
Darn, I'm late for this.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Hey Lester, yeah, you missed about an hour's worth. It's actually really good.
Computer?
I'm actually a lot further in this in my playthrough. I'm about 9 hours in.
Simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity.
It would be funny if it said warp calculation failed because you are a dumbass.
1.3. Warp pressure is destabilized. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a...
Liking the look.
Okay, Stu, you've been insulting this game for about an hour now. Do you just not like it, or what? I mean, I feel like it's a lot better than your than your stupid Suda51 game that you've been streaming, that's for sure. At least I'm not falling asleep playing this.
System-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of
LOL.
Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
That wasn't an insult, I'm just making jokes. I think the game is cool.
The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
So basically what they've determined is that there is a
Isn't
beam.
just typical New York humor?
There is a beam that is preventing anything from leaving warp out of this galaxy. And speaking of which, you were just asking if we land on planets always asleep, or we're landing on one
Yeah,
now.
basically at Lester's ease. Needs more banging, but otherwise it seems neat.
Oh, and I can tell you that yes, there is conflict and
Ambassador
phasers
Spock,
and all that kind of shit.
Captain
There is
Solano.
shooting in the game as well.
Welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tyler Saltaris, Minister
Banging.
of Diplomatic Affairs.
Oh, I want to hear Spock.
This is Commander Jara Rydek, first officer aboard the U.S.S. Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illydians.
We are honored to be here as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be
Live.
seen.
Okay impression, but not great.
We're
Oh,
grateful.
the feels from just seeing that font appear like an episode title. But that's not really
you missed a lot, Stu, when you left to use the bathroom for when you left to use the bathroom for a half an hour. You missed a lot of dialogue with Spock, because like literally there was a lot of dialogue with him, and I think he does a phenomenal job. You may think he does a shit job, but a lot of people and a lot of reviews have stated that they thought he did a fantastic job as Spock, given that the actor who's voicing Spock in this is like in his 30s. And is doing like a fucking 80-year-old impression of Leonard Nimoy in his 80s, 70s, 80s.
He fell asleep on the can, I think.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into.
How are you, gentlemen, and Stu?
Something about his tone tells me this won't be easy.
That was my sense as well.
I doubt he speaks for all of Hotari, so I would urge patience.
The impression is pretty good, I think. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 over my speakers.
He's actually really good. He's actually really good in this. There's a lot of there's some Next Generation cast members who come in later on in the game too. But yeah, no, all in all, it's
funny, Joshua.
Doing good, Josh. Thank you for asking.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return.
Do they play Nintari on their planet?
As it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful...
I think you're thinking of the Willy B missions from the planet Dynamics.
For now.
Saying this wouldn't be easy was an understatement. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not part
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her. Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone.
You should take the Kobliad Shimaru test.
Brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Alidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Alidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
There is no remedy for what the Kobliad suffered. And I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor.
Grotto in the stream, quiet grotto. Lol.
That is the real opportunity.
Perhaps, Commander Rydek. Perhaps. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most.
No, I'm just paying attention because you have to make the right dialogue
Grotto
choices.
definitely shows light side encoder.
You have to pay attention to the choices here because it could start a war.
Dilithium in our minds, and it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
It's possible the Federation has an interest in both peace and securing a steady source of dilithium. One does not preclude or prevent the other. But that's just my personal opinion.
Given the Federation has done business with the Alidians for decades, I would agree. It's entirely possible, if not highly likely.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Alidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Alidians? It can only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said!
Not fair.
How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage.
Wow, intense.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
Then you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that.
He's basically saying get this Kobliad back to the ship. The wise Spock. Haha, yep.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are
Freaking King Solomon stuff, right there.
What happened in those mines?
Alrighty. So now we just have to question...
Well, it was a lose-lose option, no matter which one she chose. There needed to be a third option. Minus all the riches and concubines.
Is this guy talkable? No. He's just staring out at the mist. Alright,
To get the third option you needed to kiss the lieutenant earlier in the game.
Shut up.
LOL.
Guess we'll talk to you first, Sidron.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
The Hotari have suffered enough at the hands of the Elidians.
I couldn't agree more.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elidians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive. Before the Elidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Elidian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship.
No.
Ready to contend with anything the Elidians might have in store.
Yeah, it's the regular Borg cube.
Or is that not true?
I'll lie to him.
Maybe I've misjudged
Yeah,
it.
no, the ship can hold
Good
its
night,
own.
friends.
Good night, Josh. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good night.
Against just about anything.
Let's hope so. Because at the moment, it's the only thing preventing them from wiping us off the map.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
I had a friend in college from Zimbabwe. His went through a similar situation in real life when his family's farm was reclaimed by native.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he is.
I'm so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat.
Jamison says, Spock hero or menace?
The Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I get the sense you don't exactly trust them.
I don't trust their instincts, which are leading us to war. My fear has been that the Illydians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Because of what happened in the mines. Is it Galvin they're afraid of?
It's entirely possible. But I don't know for sure. Whatever Galvin is doing in those mines is turning everything upside down. But no one knows exactly what's happening. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply, now or in the future.
I'd be curious to know if the rest of the Federation shares your indifference. Major Solid Arminta, Special Attaché, Illydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
You sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mine? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Rydek.
All right, so after we're done reporting our findings and going to the next chapter, I'll probably end the stream there because we've been going for, we're almost at 2 hours and 30 minutes, so probably going to end it at that point. Where is Captain Solano anyway? I'm guessing he's back here. Ah, yes. Okay.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
So this part's really cool. We actually get to fly this shuttle around in space and unleash probes. But we're going to do this in our next playthrough. I think that's a good spot to end the game. Whoop. I hit the wrong button there. There we go. So thank you very much to Stu for tuning in today. Always asleep. Lewis.
Can you shoot?
Can you shoot? Not in the shuttle. No, you can't just shoot at random things. Not unless they call for it. There are missions where you have phasers and you have to shoot at enemies and stuff like that. And from what I'm told, there is missions that take place
Thanks for the stream. Hope to be able to catch the next one.
No problem, Lester. Sorry you missed a bit of it, but maybe you can go back and rewatch the parts that you missed. But thank you for tuning in, Lester, and Always Asleep, Stu's Game Reviews, Joshua over at Weird Gaming Adventures. I think he changed the name. I can't remember the name of that you've gone with now. My apologies. But thank you to all of you for tuning in today, and anybody else I've missed. I hope you enjoyed it. I do love this game. I think this is probably one of the best Star Trek games, story-wise at least, that I've played in a very long time. I think the last time we've experienced some decent storytelling with Star Trek games would have been like 25th Anniversary, Judgment Rights, and maybe even a Final Unity. But besides that, there really hasn't been many good Star Trek games. There's been Star Trek Online, which is pretty good, but most games involved shooting and conflict and space battles, and we've never really had a good storytelling Star Trek game, which relied on, you know, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and not to, you know, seek out new life and new civilizations and blow it up, which a lot of the more modern Star Trek games kind of went with. So it's nice to see a game that's going back to the Star Trek roots and is heavily about, you know, preventing war, if anything. And so it's a really cool game. It's nice to get like two sides of the story, playing as the commander of the Resolute, and also playing as, you know, the engineering officer.
Impressed by the history in Spock so far.
Yeah, no, it is really good, and they definitely, you could tell that these guys who made this game, they definitely know Star Trek. Like they know, it's very clear. I mean, when you're messing around on all the panels and stuff like that, and engineering and stuff like that, it's really cool. I'm really enjoying it. It is a fantastic game, and I hope to play some more of it soon. And just be aware that it is a long game, so it's probably going to be in multiple streams. The other thing to note is that, yes, there is audio glitches here and there, as you've no doubt noticed as I've been streaming it. And the developers, Dramatic Labs, have stated on their Twitter that they are aware of the issues and are working towards a patch, which should be released at some point at the end of the week. So they are aware of that, and they are planning to fix that. Aside from that, the game is fantastic, and I'm really having a lot of fun with it. So you can buy it on the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. It is not out for the Switch, unfortunately, but every other console and the PC it is out for. Now on PC, it is on Epic Games Store, so I know that a lot of people have issues with Epic Games Store, but unfortunately that's where you'll have to get it, unless maybe it's on GOG or something, but it is not on Steam. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I hope you had a wonderful time watching this awesome game, and yes, if you've noticed how it is very similar to a Telltale style game, that's because some of the former Telltale Games employees went over to a new company, and this is their very first game under this new company. The new company, of course, is Dramatic Labs, which you can follow on Twitter, as it sits in the top right corner. But yes, so that's that. We'll be coming back into this in a little bit. We're probably going to go into more of Brock the Investigator for the next stream, and then going into more of Forspoken after that. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful night. If you missed any of the live streams, simply go over to my playlist section, check those out, and you'll find all the missed games in there. You'll also find in my playlist section, joint collaboration section, where I've worked with Stu and Olav, as well as the Pirates of the Geek Vortex podcast, which runs every Friday at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's a podcast where we talk about the latest video games, movies, TV shows, books, and comics, and board games. And that'll be it for me. Next, I believe it's this upcoming Friday, the Pirates of the Geek Vortex podcast is going to be doing Cards Against Humanity. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check that out on Olav Productions channel. We're going to be doing some fun games online for that podcast. And hopefully you guys can tune into that and have a bit of laughs with us. And that's it for me, again, for the third time. I've been saying that a lot tonight. But yeah, I hope to see you guys all soon, and thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys had as much fun with this game as I have had playing it. And I do, as I said before, I do feel like it is probably one of the best Star Trek games out, that is very true to the Star Trek story, you know, like, not all conflict, which is really nice to see, because I'm kind of tired of the space battles. Anyway, take care, guys. Talk to you soon. And yeah, like and subscribe for future content, and we'll talk soon.